When was the last time you had a deep conversation about dating, finding a job, reaching our goals, and all the other intricate areas that make up our 20s? Every episode, I talk about these topics with real young adults who are living and learning along with the rest of us. If you want to hear how your peers are dealing with and conquering these areas of life, tune in. This is Building the Blueprint. My guest today is as ambitious, smart, and fun as 19-year-olds get. He is a previous project manager at the Oregon Consulting Group, director of consulting at the Oregon Blockchain Group, technical analyst at the Oregon Quant Group, business management intern at Despark, and career peer educator at the Lundquist School of Business. Today, we're going to have some awesome conversations about ambition, mindset, and crypto. Ladies and gentlemen, help me in welcoming Drew Manley.
Let's go.
Drew, how are you doing?
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Glad to be here.
I'm excited to be. We haven't sat down since Oregon Consulting Group. It's been quite a time.
It's like 6 months now, right? Something like that.
Dude, you are so fucking busy. Holy shit. I just read off 5 things that I don't think most people could even do one of those things. Do you think ambition is coachable? You do so much. You are so ambitious. Is that innate? Is it coachable? What do you think?
I mean, I think it's a fantastic question. I think coachable might not be the best word. I think ambition has to come from within 100%. And I also think you can't just be like, this is what ambition is. This is how to be ambitious. I don't think it's as simple as that. I think how ambition can be put upon someone is surrounding yourself with other people that are ambitious. So, for example, let's say you're a freshman who wants to go into banking or something. Maybe you're ambitious, maybe you're not. But the people you surround yourself with, say you surround yourself with 5 people that are in clubs that are around banking or super interested, doing coffee chats, stuff like that, that's gonna fire you up and get you more hyped to get into things like coffee chats, networking, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And while you can't just be like, oh, this is how you do ambition, you can surround yourself with people that are ambitious and inspire you to generate some ambition within you, if that makes sense.
Okay, so one way to be ambitious is to put yourself around more ambitious people.
Yeah.
Still doesn't answer though, where does it come from? I love that. That's a great place. That's how I can be more ambitious. But where does it come from? Is it, why do you do so much?
I mean, I have a long answer to that. I come from the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, a bunch of super high achievers. I think I'm Christian as well. And a Silicon Valley church is a bunch of super smart people working at these massive tech companies, and all their kids are in the youth group with me, and they're going to like Berkeley, Harvard, all that. And University of Oregon, it might not be the best school out there. I personally think it's great. But I think a way that I can make up for maybe it not being as high up on the rankings as like a Berkeley or a Stanford is to get involved in a bunch of things. And when you join clubs like, the consulting group and the blockchain group, you get to do hands-on work, you get to meet people, you get to network. And I wouldn't say that I'm doing those to make up for the fact that we're not as a good school. I just think those are opportunities you rarely can't get anywhere else in life. The fact that all these opportunities are so readily accessible and I can just apply right away, I get to talk to all these people and I get to learn is frankly pretty awesome. I can't do that in high school. As soon as you graduate, there's not really many opportunities like that,
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you don't want to be motivated by feel like you being through comparison.
Yeah.
But it sounds like part of your motivation is by comparison because all these people around you are doing amazing things. What do you think like the balance is between like, okay, kind of using it as fuel a little bit and also being like, oh wait, like that's not healthy. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's something I go through too at times where it's like, okay, there's always the next person to compare yourself to, but it's also a great strategy for like motivating me.
Yeah.
What do you think about like finding the balance?
Yeah, I think definitely comparison is like they always say comparison's the thief of joy. But I also think there's another side of that. I think it can also motivate you quite a bit. And while I hate to say that comparison is some of my motivation, I think it generally is. I have a bunch of friends back home that are like engineering at Berkeley and stuff like that. And while I don't like to compare myself to them, I think it's just natural. I think humans just do that naturally. And I think there's 2 ways you can go about that. You can be like, oh, well, they're so much better than me. Like, I'll give up, whatever. Or you can be like, oh, they got into a good school, but that doesn't make them like a better person. It doesn't make them any more like legit, like at the end of the day, we're all gonna die, like doesn't make them a better person. Um, but you can still like find motivation within yourself. I think it starts from, at least from my experience, it started from other people doing well and me being like, oh, I'm kind of falling behind. But now it's like, oh, I want to set my own story. I want to do something that other people haven't done yet. And this is the steps that I'm going to take to do that, whether it's joining clubs, working outside of them, um, or just shaping my days to be like the person I want to be in the future.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting too how like people usually use that in the context of like business and like success, right? But it applies like everywhere. Like I think it's the same with social. Like you're like, oh, that person's cooler,
Mhm.
quote unquote, or that person's better looking or dresses
Yeah.
better. And I mean, it definitely matters. And it's interesting. I think something for me that I've seen from like a sports angle that I've read about is like just like respecting your competition
Mm.
and like not viewing it necessarily as like, oh, that person's just better, but it's like, no, like I respect it. Like I respect where they're at. I respect that they're, where they are. And then I recognize that they might be a little ahead of me and like trying to channel it as fuel, but like, you know what I mean? Through a filter of like, okay, but like I'm good enough, but I can still want more,
Yeah.
which is an interesting
Mhm.
balance at times. And that's what
Mhm.
I try and do. I'm
Yeah.
like trying to find the balance of like, oh, like I've done all these things, which are great, and I can strive for more, but I still have to like have an understanding of like, okay, what I've done is still pretty cool.
Yeah. I think you have to remember that everyone's different and everyone's like on a different path and there are different parts of that path that they're on.
Yeah.
I'm taking a class right now. It's just Global 102. I even forgot the name of it. But we're doing an exercise on like observations versus interpretations. And like oftentimes you see people doing things that maybe you don't understand. But then you can think back on it later and do some reflection and be like, oh, well, maybe they grew up differently. Maybe they have different mentors in their life telling them different things, or they understand things like differently. And so this was a race example. We watched a video in class today. It was a white individual and an Asian individual, just on a running trail talking with each other. They haven't met before. And this white individual was like, "Oh, where are you from?" And the Asian one's like, "San Diego." And the guy's like, "No, where are you really from?" And they went on this conversation. He's talking about how he loves kimchi or something. And it's just a joke about stereotypes. But understanding that while the white guy might not necessarily have meant harm, he caused harm to that woman. But zooming out on it, if you interpret it in like an optimistic way, while the white guy was being very like stereotypical and not nice, he was just trying to make the person feel welcomed because he grew up like in a different life, like he's had different mentors, he has different customs. And while it wasn't received well, I think it's just a lesson that oftentimes people react in different ways, people take different paths. You just have to understand that that's their path, and you can't really compare one to one with yours.
Mm. Yeah.
Does that
That's
make
a great
sense?
point. No,
Yeah.
I love that because that was one of the things. That's a conversation I've had with people close to me that aren't as ambitious. I don't even think ambitious. Ambitious is an ambiguous word, but
Yeah.
don't do as much.
Mhm.
And I'm like, why don't you do as much? I'm like, why do you spend so much time on your phone? Why are you so content? Because like that person is like really happy with where they're at.
Mhm.
And I just can't personally comprehend it
Yeah.
of like how does that make you happy? Like I
Yeah.
need to be doing things.
Mhm.
And like that same concept you're talking about, like I had to totally grapple with of like, oh, this person's definition of like peace and happiness and content is actually way different than mine. And like we can have way different meanings of that,
Mhm.
which is a
Totally.
huge part of it.
Yeah.
And I think that you're right. That helps with comparison too. Of like, if you know that guy's level of content is how much he can bench, and you see a guy in the gym who's benching 400 pounds, it's like, well, you can't compare yourself to that guy because he spends 90% of his time
Yeah.
doing that because that's what's
Mhm.
important to him, and he can't compare yourself to you because you spend 90% of your time being active in all these groups, and that's what brings you joy, and that's what you're
Mhm.
working towards. So
Yeah.
they just don't go together at all.
Yeah. It's just all those comparisons are taken out of context, I think, and it's just unfair. Like, I have that same, like, conversations with my roommates all the time. Like, it's just their path. Um, and I think yeah, I think the weight example is just perfect. Oh,
There you go. You can pull it closer.
oh, shoot.
It'll move with you,
Let's go. This is awesome.
dude. The studio's awesome. Built it originally for Aiden Macheski, our last guest, just for him, but he made a big donation, and thankfully we're allowed to continue to use it because of his donation.
Oh, maybe I'll have to make a donation too.
Well, I don't know if you could afford it. Aiden makes big
Oh,
donations,
yeah.
but
Does he? Oh,
thank you, Aiden Macheski. Couldn't do this without you.
let's go, Aiden.
Let's go, Aiden. Do you think confidence and I'm going to use the word ambition again go hand in hand? And, don't even think about ambition, but confidence and doing things go hand in hand, or are they separate?
It's also a great question. Very philosophical, very
We're going to get
philosophical.
philosophical today.
I love it, I love it. It's not often you get into deep combos, especially people, like, in college, like, it's pretty sick. Um, take a second to think here. I think I think no. I don't think no is a fair answer. I think it's somewhere in between. If, like, this is yes and this is no, I'm about, like, here, like, 25% of the way between no and yes.
Okay, mostly no, somewhat yes.
Yeah, if that makes sense. I think you can be not confident and you can also be doing a bunch of things. I know a bunch of people, and I think for me, I applied to a bunch of groups, and I was not confident that I was gonna get in or get accepted, you know? But I was still making that effort to apply, to talk to people, and still do all those things, holding on to the little grasp that maybe I'm good enough to get into these groups. And I really would not describe myself as confident back then, but I was still doing things. And while I wasn't really confident in myself getting in the group, I was actually confident in myself to, like, be able to rebound from that rejection, if that makes sense. So I think confidence can be taken in so many different contexts as well. Um, but I really don't think there's a strong correlation there.
Yeah.
I think you can do things, and I think confidence can help you do more things and be, like, super straightforward, but I still think there's so much room to do things without having that, like, strong confidence within you.
Yeah. I think what you're hinting at there too is like it's a slider between confidence and courage.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
mm,
Like if you're more confident, it takes less courage. And if you're less confident, it takes more courage, but you can still do it anyway.
yeah,
Like it just depends on what the configuration is there.
totally,
Because I agree. I have the
totally.
same situations where it's like, and it gets easier,
Mm,
right? It's like, I totally agree. It's like when I was applying to the group and I'm doing case studies is like a fancy consulting test. Like when I first started doing it, I felt terrible and took
yeah,
a lot of courage and I had
exactly.
little confidence. And then nowadays, if you were to make me do it, I'd feel pretty good about it,
Yeah.
which is an interesting thing. I think too, something I want to dive in there. You said like courage for you, you're kind of referencing it. Was like, oh, I know I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
Do you think where do you think that mentality comes from? Because I think for me, I feel the exact same way. But I also think I'm a little rare in the sense of like I feel that way because I know no matter what, like I'm gonna be my family supports me. Right. So my thought
Mhm.
process is like, okay, worst comes to worst, let's say I'm applying for a group and I don't get in. I'm like, well, it's fine. Well, worst comes to worst, like I get kicked out of school. It's fine. I can move back home.
Yeah.
Worst comes to worst, I go to jail. My dad will bail me out. It's fine, right?
Mhm.
Like I could go really far deep down and like I know my parents would like catch me and I'd be okay. Um, but I know a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah.
Like, where does yours come from that same place?
I think I definitely have that strong family backbone that's kinda like a safety net to always catch me if I really mess up, you know? Maybe if not if I, like, murder someone, you know? But,
Right,
like,
right.
it's always, like, if I slip or I take a wrong step, they're there to back me up. Same with my friends, you know? Um, I think for the smaller decisions, and I'm talking about, like, applying to a group or maybe whether it's, like, asking a girl out, something like that, where it could be embarrassing in the moment or I could feel down on myself. I actually tie it back to sports, I think, and wrestling in particular. I started wrestling my freshman year of high school, and I was not a combat sport person. I always played soccer and baseball. That was a big thing. It was, like, a completely new change for me, and I failed so much. I won maybe 3 matches my freshman year out of, like, 20, and I just lost over and over and over again, but I was just taught to never quit, and I think I was actually born to just not be a quitter. I would just continually do things. I think that started from when I was, like, just straight came out of the womb. But I think training myself, like, in wrestling, like, losing over and over, getting beaten up by the longer wrestlers, people that are bigger than me, just taught me and trained my mentality to be like, "Okay, at least I'm learning." And that's what it all comes down to. Like, at the end of the day, you're gonna have your knowledge, and that's, like, what I think is the most valuable.
Yeah,
And that's yeah, that's, like, another safety net besides my family, if that makes sense.
yeah. I'm curious what you think about this too. Is something that comes up for me as you say that about okay, like what actually gets me to do this? Like actually gets me to do scary things the most? Because that's been a big theme in my life of like I've been scared of so many things, and I actually done a really good job of doing them.
Mm,
And I think I used to think the thing that got me to do them was like mentality and like pushing through it,
mm,
which does work. But the more I think about it, I actually think like in some level, and this can be like literally whatever it means to you, of like actually like some level of like spirituality. And I don't mean like it can be whatever. It can be like the universe or you're Christian or you're Jewish. Like it could be like nothing. It could be the wind. I don't care what it is. But I feel like actually some purpose of like there's a bigger meaning, or like this is like something very little in a much larger world
Mm,
actually like helps me a lot because I'm like I can take it into context and be like, this is nothing on a larger scale, right? Like,
mm,
you know, failing right now means nothing because I'm gonna die one day.
exactly.
Or
Yeah.
like this means nothing because
Mm,
I'm, been meditating and breathing and like I understand that like this is just like a moment in time,
yeah.
right? Which is
Mhm,
like the hardest thing to it's the easiest thing to say for you to do and the hardest thing to actually do.
mhm.
But I've actually found like I'm still, I'm working through this as we're talking about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But reflecting back, I actually think it's almost a more useful tool than mentally than telling yourself, "Hey, I'm gonna be okay. You can do this." Like, don't like trying to rationalize yourself into it, at least for me in the moment, doesn't usually work.
Yeah. I think this is gonna sound weird, but I think it's important to tell yourself that while it does matter, it doesn't really matter, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna use coffee chats as an example because that's just a word that's thrown around in the business world so much.
Mhm.
I hate coffee chats. I hate talking to new people. I don't think I'm good at it. I get like really embarrassed. I get flustered. I have to prepare questions, stuff like that. Um, and I tell myself, like, oh, this could be the new job. This could be like the next big thing. And if I ask, like, a dumb question or I don't know what to say, I'm gonna be, like, hitting myself because 'cause I'm like, "Oh, shoot, I could have messed this up." And then I zoom out, I'm like, "Does it really matter?" And I don't think about that in the moment because I'm pissed at myself for messing up, you know? But if I'm reflecting on it later, I'm in, like, a different mental space, I can be like, "Who cares? I'm, like, not gonna see that person ever again. It has no implication on the life that I think really matters." And we can talk about that more later. I don't think a job is what defines you. And I think like coffee chats is part of the path to getting to that job point. I don't think that's really what defines you. And it's important, like asking a girl out, like you're never gonna see that girl again. Maybe you will. It's okay. You know, I think you're gonna regret not doing it more so than you're gonna feel embarrassed in the moment if case rejection happens.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Yeah.
I think my observation is you're saying right now, you're like, "Man, in the coffee chat, I'm pissed," or like,
Yeah.
"I'm nervous," or "I'm sweating," and I feel
Yeah.
like I'm not doing great, and then you have the realization later
Hmm.
that this doesn't matter.
Hmm.
And I think what a lot of people try to do, including myself, is that happens, and then I bet you your next coffee chat, right? You're gonna go into it telling yourself, "Hey, this doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. You're gonna be fine." But then when you're in the moment in the coffee chat, you're probably still gonna freak out,
100%.
right? It's a kind of a reoccurring loop where you
Yeah.
tell yourself, like, "Oh, like I'm gonna be fine. Shit the bed. Doesn't matter. I'm gonna be fine. Shit the bed. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter," right?
Yeah.
And I think what might help and something I'm gonna start trying, right, is like trying to really go into it and in the moment be really good about bringing in that awareness that comes
Hmm.
after.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like
It's so hard.
breathing.
It
It's
is
so
so hard.
hard.
I don't know why it's so hard too, because now reflecting on it, it's like, it's just a coffee chat.
It doesn't matter at
Yeah,
all.
yeah, it does not. It does not. But in
It's
the moment, you're like, "Mm,
well, I've been thinking about this with public speaking, right? Like
also true."
the last 6 months, I've spoken to over 500 people, like in audience, just me upstage, 30-minute presentation, 500 people, right? And then I do a presentation for 5 people for a class, and I'm fucking nervous.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't do that good. And I'm just like, "Why is that still happening?
Yeah.
Why am I still nervous before I get up on this stage? Why
Mhm,
does this still matter so much?"
mhm,
I know I'm good at it. I know it doesn't matter that much.
mhm,
I know, like, I'm gonna be fine, but, like, it still gets you, like,
mhm.
I don't know what the answer is yet, but there's gotta be something other than mentally just talking yourself into it because that just
Yeah.
doesn't work.
It doesn't.
It doesn't work.
And I don't know what I could do better, you know? I don't know if anyone's cracked that code yet. I think that just me
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a
part of being
conversation
human.
for future episodes, and the next thing I'm gonna try is, I guess, breathing. I know breathing's really important, at least for athletes, like, I know
Oh, yeah.
a lot of books that I've read are, like, about, like, "Hey, when you need to perform, you need to be present, and if you wanna be present, you need to breathe."
Yeah. I think funny story, I was with my friend at his winery for spring break a couple weeks ago, and he has a gun range on the property. And I never shot a gun before, so I was learning all the gun safety, everything about it. And I was ready to shoot a gun, and we had these little like wine bottles because it's on a winery, so you just shoot the wine bottles, you know. And I was like, I was missing, and I was shaking, and I was like, oh, you just shake, that's normal, right? But the main technique to stop that is actually breathing, and that's I don't think that's something that people would really think about normally. You just be like, "Oh, concentrate more," really?
Think more.
Yeah, like, think harder, aim better, whatever it is. But it's really just breathing. It's really just being in the moment. It's calming down, and that's the best way you can concentrate and really, like I said, be in the moment. So,
Yeah.
maybe it transfers over to other
And
things.
if you break it down too, like what does breathing do? Helps you think less, right? There's a lot of really cool studies that I've read that show the more you think about yourself, the less happy you are.
Mm.
So I think
That ain't crazy to say.
I think
Yeah,
that's a part of it too,
yeah.
of like you're just thinking about yourself. Like even when you're trying to coach yourself in that moment, you're actually just thinking about yourself more,
Mm,
which might be the problem is just thinking about yourself.
mm,
So that could be another thing we can try is like
mm.
use the breathing, but then also just like think about, karaoke. I don't know, think about sports.
Something random, yeah.
Because now that I think about it, I did do this once for OCG when we did
Mm.
our midterm presentations, and I knew I knew what I was gonna say, and then when my group went up there, I was, like, the 3rd one to talk, and I remember I wasn't paying attention at all. Like, I kid you not, I wasn't paying attention at all. I was thinking about other things, and then and then Kamran was like, "And now Nick will go." And I was like, "Thank you, Kamran," and then I did it, and I, like, crushed it,
Yeah.
right? But I was like, I wasn't thinking about it at all,
Mhm.
which I've completely forgot about until now.
That's funny.
So we're gonna have to try that out of,
Yeah.
okay, just find any way to not think about yourself.
Yeah, because I think oftentimes when you are waiting for your turn for, like, a group presentation or an OCG presentation, you're thinking about what you're gonna say over and over and over and over again, trying not to forget anything.
Yeah.
But I think the act of thinking it over and over and over again actually, like, makes it easier to forget. And then you're almost, like, memorizing it in your head, and then all of a sudden you forget the script, and that's when you stumble.
You were talking about girls earlier, right? Like, when you're on a date, why are you nervous? Because 'Cause you're worried about what they're gonna think about you.
Yeah.
You're thinking about yourself again. When you do a job interview, what do you think about? You're worried about, "What is this job person gonna think about me?"
Mm.
Right?
Mm.
When you're thinking about what kinda job you're gonna get, you're nervous about, "Oh, are people gonna look down on me because my job's bad? Are people gonna look
Mm.
up to me because my job's awesome and make a lot of money?"
Mm.
And so maybe we cracked the code.
All comes back to comparison, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just thinking about yourself. Oh my god, you're so right. The comparison. Okay. What's the difference between being hard on yourself and being driven?
Man, great question.
We're getting deep today.
Hard on yourself and driven. Nick gave me these questions beforehand, and I thought about this one for so long, and I was still like,
You're
my
still
my answer's changing every second, you know?
I can go first if you want. I overcorrect sometimes because I think when I was younger, I didn't do anything because I was, like, scared of it,
Mm,
right? And so I was really good at not doing things. The reason I wrote this question was I think when I was younger, I didn't do that much because I was kind of, like, scared of it,
mm,
right? Like, I was kinda scared of things, so I was like, "Okay, I'm not gonna do that."
mhm,
And then I made it a really big intention in life to like, hey, if I'm scared of something, I'm gonna do it. Right? If I want to do it, I'm gonna do it. Or even if
mhm,
I'm just scared of it, I'm gonna do it just to prove that I can. And I think now that I have more confidence and that not as many I can do things even if they scare me and it's not like a problem, that sometimes I over apply myself just in the sense of like I don't want to take the easy way out or I think I'm taking the easy way out. So for example, like big discussion for me recently has been like, where do I put my time? Right? So I have the book, I do speaking, I do the podcast, I do other people's podcasts, I do, uh, I have the web, I do all the social media stuff.
mhm.
And so for me, it's been really important to pick one, right? Because to make any of them great, I need to focus on one. And I've decided that I'm going to do the podcast. So the podcast is going to get a lot of attention,
Yeah.
right? But I was actually really tentative to do that because the podcast is the easiest for me. Like, I
Mhm,
really enjoy having these conversations. I don't feel stressed at all before these
mhm.
happen. This is really natural and just fun,
Yeah.
right? The public speaking scares me. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I takes way more preparation. It's way harder to book it. It's just like a whole ordeal. And so, like, I just get nervous sometimes of like, maybe am I picking this one because that one's harder? And like, I talked to my dad about it, and he, you know, talked me out of it, but I'm curious your perspective on it because that's something I grapple with. I've been grappling with recently.
I think time's like your most valuable asset, and making sure you're spending it well is super, super important. I think that's one of the reasons I just dropped the consulting group, is because it's a great, like, it's given me so much, but I need to spend my time elsewhere to be better mentally, you know? Um, and I think there's something to be said, about putting yourselves in uncomfortable situations, because that's where you get the highest return. And, like, you're gonna get better at public speaking if you just do it over and over and over again. But I also think that enjoyment should be, as in my opinion, as a college student, enjoyment should be one of, like, your the thing you're holding highest when making decisions. Um, so I don't know, like, you're only gonna be 20, 21, however old you are, like, once, you know?
Just turned 21.
Let's go. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You'll only be 21 once, and the amount of fun, and I'm speaking this from an ignorant perspective, because obviously I don't know what it's like to be older, but I think the amount of fun that you can have is gonna be less and less, because of all the, like, you're gonna have to have a full-time job, maybe you're gonna get married, you're gonna have a family, you're gonna have a lot of responsibilities, and I think it's important to have fun now, because you're gonna regret not having more fun, later down the line in the future, right? And that's why I hold enjoyment at such, like, a high value, and I think that's something I didn't do for, like, my first year and a half of college.
Yeah.
But I also think it's your time to develop yourself while you are in college. So it's really balancing yourself by, like, putting yourselves in uncomfortable situations, but also making sure that you're enjoying what you're doing. So that's kinda how I would balance it. I don't know how
Yeah.
I would make the decision if I were in your shoes, but I think just making sure I'm holding both of those at, like, a super high priority, is super important to me.
Yeah. The priority thing is really important. As I think about it, I think you can still get away with the logical approach for this, meaning, like, if I really break it down, even though, like, might give public speaking a boost in points because it's a little harder
Yeah.
and that's gonna push me more,
Mhm.
but I should actually give the podcast more points because I think it's more likely to actually grow and do well,
Mm.
right? Because it's much harder to be a 21-year-old public speaker,
Yeah.
and I probably don't really have the full experience to teach people as much as I need to, like, get paid a lot of money. Um, and you could say the same thing with having fun in college, I think, where it's like, yes, it's a priority. One route is like, "Hey, I'm gonna do this things I'm gonna leave the group because I wanna have fun, because fun is a priority." But I think you could also make the logical argument of, it's literally, I'm gonna grow more and learn more and get more out of life by leaving and having a little fun right now than I am
Mhm.
gonna stay in the group for another couple terms.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. I think
But you really have to break it down and,
you
like,
do.
get broad about it. You can't just, like, you can't be like, "Oh, like, business-wise," you can't be business-wise only, you have to be business and life-wise
Mm.
and 10 years down the future-wise.
Yeah. I think I'm glad you brought this up, because this is something I think about all the time. Like, I've talked to a bunch of people, like, the consulting group is a big part of my life, you know? It's
It
like
was both of ours.
yeah, it's all I ever knew since I came to college, right? It's 15 hours a week, I, like, got promoted, all that, super great, and it meant a lot to me to leave, right? Like, a lot of my friends are in this group, I'm not gonna see them every day, it's gonna be tough, it's gonna be emotionally tough, but I have to put myself first. Like, if I'm not good mentally, what am I doing, you know? I'm 19, I should not be waking up stressed every day, I should not be staying up late into the night, like, texting people, working on stuff. I just don't think that's how life should be as a 19-year-old. I think that I should be getting good grades. I think I should be involved in a couple of things that I'm really passionate about. I think passion is also a super important thing. I was just having a conversation about this the other day. But if I'm not waking up excited to do what I'm doing, that's when I start to question, am I really in the right spot? And
Right.
that's where I got to at the consulting group. It's just that passion wasn't there anymore. And it was starting to, like, not deteriorate the rest of my life, but it just became too much of, this is not fun anymore. And it just wasn't a priority. And that's hence why I dropped it. So
What's your definition of passion?
phenomenal question. I think that's good. Good
Have you heard
question.
Simon Sinek's? Because that was another thing I posted about on socials recently because they came up on my feed,
Hmm.
and I loved it. And his saying was, "Working hard on something you don't enjoy is called stress. Working hard on something you do enjoy is called passion."
Mm.
And he was saying passion doesn't just come innately, it comes through hard work, but it comes through hard work on something that you truly enjoy and working towards a goal that you believe is worth it. What do you think about that?
That's a great definition.
Anything to add or take away from that or
Um,
poke at?
yeah, I think I think finding something you enjoy, it's not passion right away. I think you definitely have to spend time on it. You gotta work long hours for it to become like a passion. Like, say I start knitting.
All right.
Like, I don't know if there's a certain time period where it's just like a pastime or a hobby. Um, it's whether I'm doing it if I start knitting and, like, I do it for 3 months straight, I'm doing it every day, like, then it's a passion. Then, like, you're doing stuff with it, maybe you're selling. I don't think it has to be related to monetary value at all, but if it starts to become, like, a regular part of your life and that's, like, what you look forward to doing, I think that's when it starts getting to, like, the passion level versus pastime versus hobby. But I also think passion has to be somewhat correlated to, like, setting yourself up for the future, if that makes sense. I
Mm.
think it's really hard to find the line between, like, hobby and passion, and I think the difference is that passion is helping you towards the future, if that makes sense. Like, a hobby is more for, like, for your personal, for your mental health.
So passion is somewhere between hobby and work.
I think so. I think a passion is something you can feel while doing work, if that makes sense.
Mm.
I think I don't think it's fair to call it a passion if it's something that people normally conceive as just fun, you know? Like,
Yeah. It's a
yeah.
super interesting debate because I take in a lot of information around this, right? And I just get all sides of the spectrum from some like successful people, right? Like the really positive side is do what you love, right? That's passion and you're going to be successful.
Mhm.
And then the other side that I've heard from people like, like Scott Galloway that I really like admire and like is super smart. He's like, don't follow your passion. Anyone who's ever told you follow your passion is already rich. Follow your talent,
Mm.
right? It's just like so interesting of like,
Ooh.
or it's like, or I've heard one I heard recently was do to you, do what feels like work to you, or do what feels like play to you, but looks like work to others, right?
Mm.
And that's your passion.
Mm.
And it's like,
Wow.
I mean, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna disagree with Scott.
Okay.
Scott Galloway. I don't think the end goal is getting rich. I think that's a very romanticized thing. I don't think happiness is tied to being rich at all. I think follow your talent, whatever you wanna do, like, good for you. But I think you're gonna find happiness 9 times out of 10 with passion versus talent. Like, if you're not doing something that you enjoy, like, I don't care if you're 7'8", the best basketball player in the world, if you're not enjoying it, like, what's the point? Like, maybe you're rich, maybe you're having a great time, maybe you're viewed as, like, the best ever, but, like, if you're not enjoying it inside, like, why are you doing it, you know?
Yeah. That's something Gary Vee says a lot. He goes, if you're making $63,000 a year and you're happy as shit, congrats, you've won.
Yeah.
Stop.
Mhm.
I know, he's like, I know billionaires that hate their life and are miserable.
Yeah.
Um, there is a level to it. Like I've seen studies that show money does affect happiness, but only up to $55,000, meaning like only up to you can actually have basic living standards. So like
Mm.
if you don't have a
Mhm.
home or you don't have hot water or you
Okay,
can't
makes
afford
sense.
food,
Yeah,
money affects your happiness.
totally.
But up until that point, after that point, it's like pretty marginal.
Yeah. I think I definitely speak from a super privileged point of view
Yeah.
because I've always grown up in like I have a family of 4. We have a nice home in the Silicon Valley. My dad had a consistent job. He's able to retire at age like 63. So I definitely speak from a super privileged point of view. If I grew up in like a different perspective or maybe I was homeless, I think money would be a lot more impactful part of my life. So yeah, just to put that out there.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting too how like humans just have the innate desire to figure things out for themselves. Like, for example, people all the time go, money won't bring you happiness. Being famous won't bring you happiness,
Yeah.
right? Or, getting a girlfriend won't bring you happiness. Like necessarily, right? Like there are other things to it.
Mhm.
And but we're like, no, but like, let me see. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
I believe no, like I got you, but like let me see for myself.
Yeah.
Like it's so interesting. I don't have a point there. I just think it's super interesting. Like
Huh.
I've
Yeah.
had that so many times where I'm like, if I just get this,
Mhm.
I'll be good. Right? If I just get the cool new outfit,
Buy the new car.
buy the new car, get into the consulting group,
Yeah.
get the perfect job,
Yeah.
make more money.
That is fascinating. That's something you don't really think about normally, but it's like everyone wants to be famous, I'm generalizing here, but, like,
Yeah.
there's a saying, everyone wants to be famous, everyone wants to be rich. You talk to the rich people, they're not happy. You talk to the famous people, they're like, "It was more fun when we were local. It was more fun, like, when I had 300 grand instead of 300 mil, you know? So it's just fascinating.
Yeah, you took the artist. They're like, yeah, it was more fun when I was underground.
Yeah, I was thinking about it was like Jack Harlow.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, what's that one lyric?
Where he goes, I don't wanna yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Where he's, like, talking about, like, not wanting to be famous and doesn't like that everyone knows him.
What's that song? Denver?
He talks about Denver in it. I don't know what it's called, but yeah. And another thing I've seen too from a lot of people is, like, you know, 50, 60-year-old really wealthy individuals going, "I would trade everything I have to be 21 again."
I saw this quote. It was like 20-year-olds would give away 10 years of their life to have like 10 mil, but 30-year-olds would give like 30 mil to be 20 again or something like that. It's like you always want what you don't have.
Yeah. Or, like, the really extreme example is, like, if I give you $1 billion tomorrow, would you be happy about that?
Yeah.
Okay. If I said I give you $1 billion, but you don't get to wake up tomorrow, would you be happy about that?
No,
So then you would take tomorrow over $1 billion,
I would.
right? I mean, it's like kind of a stupid example, like, but like it makes total sense.
I mean, it's stupid, but at the end of the day, like it makes sense.
It makes sense, but that's why it's like stupid is like it makes you mad. You're like,
Yeah.
damn it, like I know, but like I still want it.
Yeah.
I still want it.
Yeah. I wish I could internalize that, you know, like what that means, like $100 billion, whatever you said. Like, if my day is worth more than that, like, why am I still sleeping in? Why am I still pressing snooze? Why am I still like falling asleep in class, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we're just such desire creatures.
Mm.
I go through that all the time. Like my like grandma sends me a book or I see a new book I really like. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna tear through this.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, nah, I'm gonna watch some reels.
Yeah.
When I have the free time,
Reels, bro.
I'm like, I'm gonna watch some reels.
Yeah.
It's all the time. You sit down and you fantasize about making the varsity basketball team, but it's like, now you gotta go to the gym. It's like, no, I'm not going to the gym.
Yeah. You ever had those like 2 AM, like, oh, I'm gonna change my life kind
All
of
the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
That was COVID for me. It would be like doing absolutely nothing,
Oh my
gaming, skipping
God.
class during the day. Hits 2 AM, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna pump out some push-ups.
I'm gonna change my life.
Yeah, I'm like watching self-development videos. Then I wake up the next morning and like I set my alarm for like 5 AM. I'm like, I'm not waking up.
David Goggins comes up.
Yeah,
You're like,
exactly.
life is gonna change tonight.
Yeah.
No,
Did not change.
Nope.
Did not change.
you know what's funny about that too is like I used to have that all the time, and now that I feel like I actually am there, I have that now. Rarely have that.
I agree. I really agree. I feel like I'm actually taking those steps now.
Yeah.
And I feel like more content with just resting. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Being present.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that brings us actually perfectly to the next thing I wanted to talk about, which was finding the line between taking in more information and actually doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's something I battle with at times because I just love taking information.
Dude, yeah.
Right? And right when it's 2 AM, you're like, dude, I'm taking on all this information on what's the right form for running, what's the best gym split, right?
Mhm.
How can I be more confident? And you're taking in information all the time.
Mhm.
But then you don't actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think the balance is between how much information I can take in and how much I need to be doing before then I'm allowed to take more information?
Yeah, I think this is one of my key metrics for making decisions about what I do is how much I'm learning. And I think learning is a combination of taking in information, but also putting them in application. So for example, like when I was picking what group I was going to drop last term, I was like, okay, I'm learning more in the blockchain group and the quant group than I'm learning in the consulting group. I'm gonna have more fun in those groups. And that's what ultimately led to that decision. And it's like, if you read a book like one time, let's just say you read it one time, like you're gonna remember that, like maybe not even. It's like after you close the book, you might not remember like anything.
You remember, I can tell you from someone who reads a lot of books, you remember 1 to 3 things from every book in my experience.
Crazy. And it's even like I was in a class and there's like talking about a PowerPoint presentation, and the person giving the presentation was like, "You are not gonna remember a single thing that I talked about during this presentation." And I thought about what she said last week, and I was like, I could not think of a single thing that she talked about. And maybe that's because I wasn't really paying
You remember
attention.
one thing that you weren't going to remember anything.
Yeah. So I guess your point stands then. But I think like it's like math. Like you can read as much as you want about a certain formula, but if you don't practice it and you don't try it, you're not going to actually know it. And like you can't say that you know something until you've done it for yourself. If that makes sense. And I think it goes for math. I think it goes for the gym. I think it goes for anything. And I think there's also like mental burnout. Like if you're in 80 different clubs, you're taking 6 different classes and you're just going to these lectures over and over and over again, you're not going to take in any of this information. It's going to go in your ear and it's going to right out the other. And you have to try it in application. You have to do it for yourself. And this is something that I struggle with like for programming. It's like I have all this strong ambition to make these crazy projects, change the world, whatever it is. And I'm over exaggerating here, obviously. But like I'm using GPT and I'm looking all these things up. Oh, this is how you do this. This is how you do this. And then I put that all into one file and it's like, oh, it's super cool. Then I realize 75% of my code is GPT and I don't even actually know how it works. And like I took in all this information I took in because I read it in ChatGPT and then it works. And then I look back at it later and I don't even understand what's happening.
Yeah.
And you have to do it for yourself. Like I think that's the baseline. Do things for yourself or you're not learning.
Oh my gosh, I need to find the quote he said in the name, because he said it like this and I loved it because I've fallen for this so many times and I think a lot of people fall for it. And he calls it motivation porn. Like those 2 a.m. sessions where it's like you're just taking all the information, how you're going to change in all these ways. It's like motivation porn, right? Like you're just dopamine for your brain on how these ways you're going to change, but you don't actually do it. And
that's funny.
The way he described, one of the ways he describes it, which I loved, was a lot of change is more about desire and understanding than it is about forcing yourself and trying to domesticate yourself. His name's Naval Ravikant. I'll have to watch the podcast back, remember his name. Love him. But the meaning there being like, you can't just like take in all that information and expect to apply all of it. I think for me, one of the agreements I've made with myself is after a certain threshold, I classify it as entertainment. Right? So like I take in this information all the time, whether it's podcasts or TikToks or books. And I know that I'm taking in way more information than I can actually understand. And so for me, it's like, I said it to a point where I'm like, hey, like, this week I'm focusing on this thing, right? This week I'm focusing on nonverbal cues for communication. And then anything else I take in is just kind of entertainment, which is like kind of what I have to, like, I'm still taking it in and I'm not like missing all of it.
Yeah.
But I kind of have the understanding of like, hey, I'm not trying to do 6 things kind of okay. I'm not trying to learn 6 concepts okay and then forget them all in a week. I'm trying to do one concept amazing and it sticks with me for a long time. And then the other 5 I can understand and lose it in a week.
Totally.
I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I think this reminds me of, I don't know where I learned it, but like humans can't multitask.
Yeah.
We just pretend that we can.
It literally physically cannot.
Yeah, we are not able to. It is a fact. Like science backed, it's facts. And it's so interesting to me because like I love to listen to music while I'm doing everything. But I recognize this because if I'm really grinding my work, I don't even hear the music, But like if I'm actually listening to music, I'm not doing any work. So it's like these 2 things going on at once, and I feel like I'm being productive, but I'm not. Because every time that I'm noticing that I'm doing one, I'm not doing the other. And it's interesting. And I think that goes hand in hand with like taking in information and actually learning. You have to do it one at a time or else it's all going to get too discombobulated in your head.
Yeah. I think one way to frame it too that might help is if you're really wanting to change in all these ways and you force yourself to pick one thing, it's going to help you learn that thing faster because you want to get to the other things quicker. You know what I mean? If you really want to get in shape, but you also really want to be more confident, and you're like, all right, I'm going to focus on shape first, and then I can start working on my confidence. And you're like, well, man, like, I really got to like get this shape thing dialed in.
Yeah.
So I can start working on my confidence. I don't know. I don't know if that's practical or not. I can't say that I've had a lot of experience trying this yet.
Yeah.
But it's something I'm working on right now. It's just kind of relevant for me because I was thinking about it.
I mean, it's not the same thing. But like, I think it's called the Pomodoro method when studying. It's like you work for 30 minutes. You set a timer. The timer goes off. You're not working for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And you're only doing something that's fun for entertainment and it helps reduce burnout. Because in that time, in that 10 minutes, you're not thinking about your work. You're not thinking about any of that. You're just, you're watching reels, you're talking with your friends, you're doing whatever. But then as soon as that timer hits 10 minutes again, you're working for 30 minutes. And it helps burnout and it helps you focus. And it works for me, especially during finals. Like so many distractions, like living in an apartment with 3 other guys or they're playing Brawl Stars, they're doing whatever all the time. Like so many distractions. I have to do one thing at a time or else it's nothing productive happens.
Yeah. I've been thinking about it too in the sense of companies
Mm.
and how billion-dollar companies don't get paid $1 billion to do 5 things pretty good. They get paid $1 billion because they do one thing the best,
Yeah. Mm.
right? And it's like focus, 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 focus.
Yeah.
Not just like in everything you do, like you need to focus.
Yeah.
Which is something I'm trying to convince myself right now
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
just, as someone who likes to do a lot of things, I just don't focus very often.
Yeah. 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 I think that's a great point.
Are you a deep thinker?
I like to think so. I really do like to think so. I think it depends what you define a deep thinker as. I think you can think deeply about anything, to be honest. I think something that I'm pretty good at, and maybe I'm delusional, maybe I'm not. I think I'm pretty good at reading like emotions and understanding when people are feeling certain ways. And I think being in like a teenage audience or like in a college audience, a lot of those things just go like right over a lot of people's heads. I think especially this generation, and I'm definitely guilty of this, is like an insult culture where it's like it's kind of just fun. It's like insult people, it's just part of like language. And I don't want to speak for like everyone, but I think for males in particular, it's just part of normal language that you're like insulting your friends, you're making fun of them. It just happens. It's just normalized. I don't know how that came about. It just happens. And I'm definitely guilty of this, and this is something that I'm trying to work on. Um, but like there definitely gets to a point when you see that people are upset. And I think a lot of people don't recognize that. Or maybe they do recognize it, they just choose not to act on it. Um, and I think and what I'm getting at here is I think maybe it's just my emotional intelligence. But I like thinking about these things. I'm like, oh, that actually hurt their feelings. Maybe I won't say that in the future. Or, and it's not when they like show it like straight up. It's like recognizing, like, I think it's, you said nonverbal communication earlier, stuff like that. Recognizing those things, adding them up, thinking about them for later, whether it's like sending them a text to like apologize and stuff like that. That's how I kind of interpreted like deep thinker right away, because it's such a relevant topic to me. And I think it's a lot of, I think a lot of people are guilty of it. And I think a lot of people need to spend more time with thinking about what their words mean, and the implications of that on other people and recognizing how others feel once you say those things.
Emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence.
Yeah. No, you're so right. And it's so silly because like I literally wrote about it in the book and I still do it. Like little things. Like even today I saw my roommate, right? I saw him in Lilith. I was like, this is the first time I've ever seen you in here. And he's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
It's a joke, right? And like you make those jokes all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they really do like chip away.
They do. They
And
do.
it's little itty bitty chips.
Mhm.
But the reality is, like we were talking about earlier, people think about themselves 24/7. And when you say something that makes them think poorly about themselves or that, reflects poorly on them,
Mm.
it doesn't make them feel good.
Not at all.
And it's not even conscious. I think a lot of it is subconsciously of like you say something to me as a joke and I laugh and then subconsciously in my brain I feel worse.
Mm.
Or subconsciously in my brain I associate you with that feeling,
Mm.
right? And then like you're just like, you know, subconsciously creating this bad relationship over time.
Yeah.
Right? Where
Yeah.
it's like because this person or because of you or because you are making these little, slights,
Mhm.
hits at each other over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so hard to not do it because
It
you're
sucks.
so right. It is culture, especially for guys.
Yeah.
Especially for guys. It's just so common to like ball bust.
Yeah. 100%. And it sucks, dude, because it's like, it's these people I really care about, and they know I care about them because I think I am one person to, like, volunteer right away saying, like, "Hey, I love you, dude," you know? But like you said, subconsciously, I'll take that stuff in, but I'll also subconsciously insult without even knowing I'm insulting them. And it starts to create these divides between the people that I care about the most. And it's just so normalized, and it's like, why do I keep doing it?
Yeah. I mean, I still think there is a little bit of place for fun and joshing around,
Mhm.
but it
Definitely.
shouldn't be the default
It shouldn't.
because it is the default easily.
100%.
My default is how can I make fun of this person, right? Right? I think especially in group settings, right? I think sometimes I do that where if I'm in group settings with people, especially if it's maybe people I don't know, it's like my
Mhm.
3 buddies and then some, 3 girls that I don't know. Like I think sometimes my first thought is like, okay, how can I like make fun of my
Yeah,
buddies
yeah,
to make me look better, make
yeah,
me feel better about myself,
yeah,
right? And it's like, but it's just like that's where your brain goes, right? Like how
yeah.
can I think you're protecting yourself in a way, right?
Mhm.
How can
Yeah.
I hurt them so I'm safe? How can I get the spotlight on them so I don't look as bad? It's not even like promoting yourself, it's being less bad.
Yeah.
How can I be less bad than this person?
Yeah.
And it should be, how can I be just as good, or how can I be better?
How can I uplift them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, even if you still want to take it on a selfish perspective of how can I be better?
Mhm.
It's like, how can I be better than this person? Not how can I make this person worse than me?
Mm. Yeah. I think, and this is something I just thought about, but I think a trend that I've noticed is that social credit per se is derived from how funny you are in today's day and age. I don't think super strong philosophical conversations are really valued day to day, especially in like college students and teens and stuff like that. Nobody really cares, just to be completely honest. And it kind of sucks. I think I think people do care, and I think a lot of people do want that deep down, but they just won't admit it. Um, but right now, how you become popular per se, or how people like you, is how funny you are and how fun you are to have conversations with. They don't have these long, boring conversations while you're just eating lunch. They want to like joke around. They want to mess around. They want to talk about sports and stuff like that. And like meeting new people or going up to new people, like you don't want to just be lame and be like, "Oh, where are you from? Oh, I'm blah 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 blah." You want to like make them laugh. You want them to think that you're funny. You want them to think that you're like a fun person. And I think that's where like social credit is like derived from in this day and age. And I think that's why a lot of my actions are first to say, "Oh, I'll make fun of this person or I'll make fun of this thing," you know.
Yeah.
Ooh, can't get past how sick this room is.
It's so cool. See, like, even right there, hold on. Even right there, you like sat down and you like low key made a sound. And I was gonna be like, wow, he's already moaning. And right? Like, that's just like, I'm just looking for ways, like, that's
Yeah.
just the easiest way to do comedy.
Because it's funny.
It's funny and it works.
Yeah.
Because it makes people laugh.
Yeah.
And you laugh at it.
Yeah. I'm laughing right now.
Gosh. Yeah. Your point too about like comedy being social status and people not wanting to have the deep conversations is like a core part of the podcast.
Mhm.
It's like, that really is my hope, that people aren't comfortable doing it in person, which I totally understand, but that they can listen to this on their own and like hear other people doing it,
Mhm.
and that hopefully they can get that kind of piece of the puzzle this way, and this can also prompt them to think themselves, you know?
Definitely. Yeah.
And that's one of the big things too, is like, there's everyone in the personal growth space, everyone having these deep conversations, everyone giving you advice is 40 to 60. They really are.
Yeah.
There's like no one under the age of 30 that's doing stuff like this.
Mhm.
And it makes sense. It's like alienating. It's weird. It's not a part of the culture. It's just not normal to have the conversations, which I totally understand.
Yeah.
Which is partially why this is brought into a space like this that is meant for that.
Mhm.
But that is my hope and my vision. And I'm excited for this to help more people in that regard and be
Yeah.
an outlet for that for more people.
Yeah. And I'm glad you're doing it. I think any effort to like normalize deeper conversations, I'm all for. Because just looking at the list of questions we had beforehand, like if I were to ask any of those questions to like any of my friends, would be like, "Bruh, shut up, bruh. What are you talking about?"
Bro, take a shot, bro.
Yeah.
What are you talking about, bro?
How about Brawl Stars, bro?
Pop the Brawl Stars, bro. Yeah. Like, or like just poke a joke at you. Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Shut the fuck up. Yeah.
But it's so important, right? Like, to grow
Mhm.
and to like actually live life. Like, you have to acknowledge that there's bigger things to life than these weird, petty day-to-day activities that we do.
100%.
All right. Next question that we normally wouldn't talk about, you know, outside of this.
Yeah.
Do you ever struggle to trust your instincts? And how do you know when to follow them?
Yes.
Yes.
I definitely struggle with trusting my instincts. I think I am a people pleaser and I say yes to everything. And that's something that I'm training myself currently to not do. Um, I think my ambition is strong. And because of that, I'm saying yes to every single thing. And it's pushing my mental way over the top. And when someone poses me with a question like, "Oh, I'd love to meet with you at this time. I'd love to you join this group. I'd love for you to do whatever." My immediate answer is always yes. Like I will never say no. And I think that's a problem. Like I think I'm doing too much and it's not good for the mental. And you need to be comfortable saying no. And that's hard for me because, like, a people pleaser, I don't wanna let anyone down. I think I'm somewhat of an overthinker. Like, if someone is upset with me, I'll be thinking about it quite a bit. And those are all things that I hate doing. Like, I hate making other people upset. I hate people, like, being hurt by me. And saying no, I need to be comfortable with it because I need to be able to prioritize myself over others, if that makes sense. And then if you could repeat the second half of the question as well.
It's just how do you know when to trust them?
Yeah. I mean, I would normally say the thing you think of right away, is usually right. I think you ever do the test where, like, you'd have someone push you from behind and whatever foot you step forward is, like, your dominant foot?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that, right? It's not one or the other most of the time, you know? It's not like a yes or a no. Um, but, like, I don't know what a silly
It's like
example
flipping
would
a
be.
coin. Yeah, I've seen that one too, where it's like if you're ever unsure about something, flip a coin,
Yeah.
and then when you're in the air, you'll realize that you're rooting for a certain side to the end,
Yeah.
and then you'll know that's the right answer.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Or I'll be like, "Oh, should I do this or this right now?" To, like, a friend, and they'll be like, "Oh, do this." I'm like, "Oh, I don't wanna do that," and then I'll just do the other thing.
Yeah.
It's like your instincts are usually right. You just need someone to have a little bit of clarity and to just you need to say it out loud and just think about it in that way, I think.
Yeah, that's a big thing too. It's like when someone asks me like, "What do you think about this?" It's like you already know what you want,
Yeah.
but it helps to have that clarity,
Mhm.
right? I think I use my dad for that a lot too, where I'm like, "Hey, should I do A or B?" He's like, "I think you should do A," and I'm like, "Eh," and he goes, "Okay, so then B," and I go, "Yeah, B."
Yeah. I
Right?
I think it means you almost trust your instincts, but you need someone to affirm those for you.
Yeah, you just want outside
Yeah.
valid
Validity
valid
validity.
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 We almost got in a loop.
Grammar's hard,
That
dude.
would have been bad.
Average business major, bro.
Average, just average.
Can't even say business, bro.
Oh my I can't say English award, high school.
Yeah, oh, let's go.
My brother gives me so much shit for that. I was the worst English student in high school, but I was a teacher's pet because I was terrible at it. Like, I tried
Yeah.
really, really hard, and then they gave me an English award at the end of school, and I did not deserve it. And I flaunt it to my brother all the time. I'm
Got
like,
to.
"You know who you're talking to right now?
Got to. The
Talking
English
to
award
You're
winner.
talking to a Marin Catholic English award winner."
Oh,
Don't you
prestigious, bro.
Yeah.
The aura's coming off you right
The
now.
aura is coming off of me. Alright. What's one idea or mindset shift that completely changed for you? And sorry. Let me rephrase this. What's one idea or mindset shift that completely changed how you approach life?
I think your job is not everything, and I think that's it. I think definitely growing up, like, it's all about especially in Silicon Valley, the stigma is, like, your social status is defined by what fortune number your company is that you work at. How prestigious is your role? How much money do you make? That's all what makes you, like, the tip top person, you know? And I thought that too. And that's why I was so, like and just to be completely honest, I was definitely down on myself for going to a school like UO, which isn't perceived as, like, a top school, you
Same.
know? And I got here, I was like, "It's not that deep." And it definitely was not as easy as I just said, like, it took a while. I was definitely self-conscious. My girlfriend at the time was at UCLA, very high overachiever, and was constantly like, "Oh, shoot, I could have been there doing all these crazy stuff," you know? But instead, I'm at University of Oregon, and it took me a while, and it took me, to surround myself with smart people to realize it does not matter what job you work, it does not matter how much money you make, it does not matter what college you go to. It matters, are you gonna wake up in the morning and are you gonna be excited to tackle your day? And I think that's how I make decisions. It's how much I'm gonna enjoy them in the future. And I'm definitely still someone to get stuck in the, "Oh, I need to get this job, I need to get this grade," and I think that's natural. But I think I'm in the process of this mindset shift right now, is that I am not gonna be defined by what job I have. I'm gonna be defined by my own opinion of myself. And so whether that's learning, it's how much I'm enjoying myself, it's my personal relationships with other people, like my family and my friends, and all those kind of building up together in a massive equation of my self-worth. And if I'm prioritizing a job and prioritizing all that, I'm not gonna be happy. And that's for me personally, and I think that's for some other people as well. I think, like, the weights of each of those things, depends on the person. I think it's different for many cultures. I think it's different for many people in specific. But really taking, like, just to put a number on it, maybe job was like 60% of your happiness before college, being surrounded in Silicon Valley. And now that I've grown a little bit, I've matured, I've talked to more people, I've had mentors in my life, it's maybe down to like 25%. And personal relationships, self, and like fun grown so much. I think that's the biggest mindset shift. And I'm a lot happier just thinking that right now. Like, if I was like 75% is like in my job, I would be like shitting bricks, like, oh, I need coffee chat, coffee chat, coffee chat, grades, 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 all that. I don't have an internship for this summer. I'm going to be fine. I don't get a good grade. Who cares? I'm going to get a job regardless. It's that belief that I'll be okay.
I love that phrase. It's not that deep.
It's
I
not.
say that all the time.
It's not.
It's so good. It's not that deep.
It's not.
What about this? Did I do this? How was that? It's not that deep.
Zoom out.
Zoom out. Yeah, not that deep. For me, the biggest mindset shift I had was it's not just about reaching the next goal. I'm very goal oriented and it helps me achieve so much. But then that also kind of becomes your source of dopamine and peace, right? Is I need to finish this next task. Then you get the rush. Then you feel present. Okay. Right. And it's understanding like, no, every single moment of every single day you have to enjoy. Right. It can't just be these hits of I achieved this big goal. I got my homework done. I did my presentation.
Yeah.
I wrote a book. Like I was really just chasing those hits. You know what I mean? And I feel more now that it's like, no, like those are great and use that as a tool to be productive and to, guide you, but it can't be your purpose. It can't be your source of happiness.
It can't. And where do you think that source of happiness comes from?
Yeah, I think it's presence. I think a lot of it is presence. I think a lot of it is relationships. I really do think a lot of it is not thinking about yourself.
Mm.
Kind of going back to that. Like one of my favorite little images I've seen, it's like, people asking like, oh, what's most important? Like the journey or the destination, right? Or people always go like, oh, the destination's the most important, right? And then the common phrase is, no, the journey's the most important. And my favorite adaptation on that is, no, the company's the most important.
The friends you made along the way.
Yeah, the people that are along for the journey,
Mm.
right? Like that's what makes life happy, right? I would not enjoy life as much if I was by myself,
Yeah.
right? Like you can take the most narcissistic people in the world, and you can punish them by putting them in solitary confinement in prison. And that just goes to show, like, we are people.
Yeah.
We're meant for people. We're meant for relationships. And, when I think back on it, like, the time I've spent thinking about others and loving others and wanting to help others, or even just not thinking about myself, right? You're more peaceful and content and present than you are when someone's loving you or you're thinking about yourself. You know what I mean? Or when it's all about
100%.
you.
Yeah. You ever this is a funny example. Have you ever watched the Mr. Beast videos where it's like, lock you in a grocery store, win $1 million or something?
Yeah, by yourself.
Yeah. Like, I feel like in this, I don't know, I'm speaking this from like a crazy perspective, but like 100 days in a grocery store, I could totally do that. And you'd think the average person could do that too, and they come in super, super confident. Then it gets like not even day 75, it gets to day 30, and they're like, I miss my family so much. I need them. Like just one conversation would save me. And it just goes to show, like in the face of like $1 million, when it's just like a third of a year that they really have to go to, like that's in the grand scheme of things, that's not a lot of time. That's like it's a lot of time, but it's not a lot of time in the grand scheme of things. For $1 million, that's life-changing money. But the fact that they get a third of that way in and they're like, I need my family, it just goes to show how important the people are around you to your success and your happiness and your fulfillment.
Yeah. I think a really important exercise for people, under the age of 40, honestly, especially under the age of 30, to do is like, can you sit by yourself? Can you sit with yourself for an hour? And I don't think a lot of people can. Like our instinct, my instinct at least, right? If I'm watching TV or I'm watching YouTube and then an ad comes on, a 1-minute ad comes on, what's my instinct? Reels. I'm straight to reels. I can't even sit for our instinct isn't even to sit for a minute and think, right? I think that's one of the funniest. I think it's so funny because like sometimes I'll read, and then sometimes I'll just stop and I'm like I just think like I'm literally just sitting and thinking for like 20 minutes. And my roommates are like, "What are you doing? Are you?" They're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm just thinking." They're like, "It just looks like I'm wallowing." You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like we only think like sit and think if we're wallowing or we're having this huge motivational spell,
Mm.
right? And I think it's really, really admirable skill if you're able to sit with yourself, if you do it on a regular basis, right? If you're just like, I mean, everyone does it. Everyone goes to the technology and to the dopamine when
Mhm.
as instinct, but like at least once a week, sitting with yourself for 20 minutes or 5 minutes a day, sitting with yourself. I think it's really important.
Mhm.
And very few people do it. And I struggle with it at times.
I try to do meditation, worked for all of, like, 2 days.
Yeah.
And I think it's a combination of, like, I'm telling myself I don't have enough time, and I'd rather have those 5 extra minutes of sleep, you know? But, like, it is hard sitting with yourself. It's like, I need some kind of thing going on in my life other than just, like, the window that I'm looking at, you know, or, like, the grass around me. It sucks. It really sucks. I'm like, why can I not just sit by myself and think for 10 minutes, you know?
It's
It's so
hard.
hard.
Yeah,
This
you
is
really
so
have to
hard.
force yourself to do it.
Mhm.
And yeah, something that I found too that the same guy, Navel, Navel,
Our
I,
friend.
my best bud,
Yeah.
whose name I cannot pronounce. I love him though, which I think is totally true, is motivation is temporary. So like what really helps me with that kind of stuff is like if I have the thought to sit on my own and think, I have to do it then and there.
Mm,
If I have the thought to do my laundry, I have to do it then and there. I have the thought to go to the gym, I have to do it then and there. Right? Because that motivation is temporary. Like we say it all the
mm.
time. Like when you wake up in the morning and you hit snooze, you're like, man, I would give anything for 20 more minutes of sleep right now. And then when you go to bed, you're like, no, I'm gonna watch reels for 20 more minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we
Do that
have
every night.
every night, every morning, you're like, I need to sleep just a little more. Every night, you're like,
Mhm.
doesn't matter at
Yeah.
all. And so acting on that, whether that's sitting by yourself or any goal that you're trying to achieve,
Mhm.
I found is helpful for me.
Mm. Interesting. Yeah. I struggle with that snoozing thing every time. I think another thing that I've been trying to do is if your task is under 5 minutes, just do it right away.
Yeah.
Helps with stress. It just helps you get things done, and you feel more accomplished too.
Yeah. My biggest thing is like, I'm trying to find the balance. Like we talked about focus earlier
Mhm.
of doing it right when I think of it and also focusing on one thing.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think the key that I'm kind of playing around with is like focus is more of a long run thing. And that thing is more of like get it done. Right. Like my long term focus is in the podcast, but that doesn't mean I can't like, um, I can't, that doesn't mean if I'm working on my podcast right now, I can't take time to like go do my laundry.
Yeah.
Like in the moment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like focus should be like my long term vision is I'm working on this consistent basis and then I occasionally, jerk off.
Yeah. You can do like
Pause.
cut that out.
Please don't clip that.
You can do like tasks. I think
We can't
tasks
speak
are a
English
good
today.
way of, like, wording these small things, like making your bed, laundry, doing the dishes, whatever. I think that doesn't shift you further enough away from the focus. I'm saying.
We're at that point in the podcast.
Ugh.
That's what happens, dude. Like, I love getting like
Yeah.
philosophical. Like that's kind of what we're doing. And then like sometimes you're speaking, you're like, what am I saying
I
right
used all my brain power, bro.
now? Yeah, you're running low.
Yeah.
I'm curious for you. Have you ever changed your mind about a core belief?
Mm.
If the answer is no, that's fine.
I don't really think so.
No.
I think I think there's some self-reflection I need to do there on what my core beliefs really are. Like, if you ask me right now what my core beliefs are, I'm gonna be like, "I don't even know."
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, it could be, I think maybe anything that you felt really, really strongly about. I think when
yeah.
people say core beliefs, the first thought is like religion, or the second thought is like, what are my like 3 values of myself?
Mhm.
But I think, you can extend a little farther. Like when I wrote that question, I was thinking for me about like manifestation. I
Mm.
was like, that's jack shit. I think that's stupid. And for me, at least recently, like that's actually been a big part of my life that I very much believe in.
Really? Interesting. Yeah, I think
But you have to be very specific about it. Like
yeah.
so many people, I've had this conversation with so many people, especially men, where it's like I don't define manifestation as I'm going to make $1 million. And like, I just expect it to happen. Like, that's not what it is. To me, it's every single day, how am I talking to myself? So it's self-narrative. And then it's continuously putting out energy and looking for evidence. So for example, like I used this example last podcast, but if I'm talking about grades, I say I would say I'm a great student. I'm a
Mm.
great student. And then if I ace a test, I go, dude, I'm a great student. I already manifested that. Look at that, right? Or if I get a 3.7, I'm like, dude, I'm a great student. I got 3.7, right? And like when people are talking to me, I'm like, dude, I'm a great student.
Yeah.
Like, that's just what I tell everybody. I like gaslight myself into it. And not only do I like say it verbally, but I like try and like really feel it.
Yeah.
Like there's really something to be said about like you shouldn't just say it, but also feel it. And it sounds stupid, and I cannot coach you to do it. I don't know how to coach it.
I don't think it can
But
be
you kind of have you literally like have to feel good grades. As stupid as that sounds, like if you lie in your bed and you close your eyes and you're like, imagine what good, like just feel it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. I actually really do.
It's a big sports things too,
Yeah.
like for performance.
I want to shout out Ernie, the wrestling coach back in high school. Big fan of manifestation. He had this quote: "Wrestling is 90% mental and 10% physical." And if you don't think you can win, you've already lost a match before you got on the mat. And it's so true. And you don't understand it until you've wrestled, until you've played sports. Like if you were to tell that to like some random dude who's never done athletics before, I'd be like, bro, that is so stupid. Like if I'm stronger than you, I'm gonna beat you.
Yeah.
1, not true. 2, wrong. 3, false. Like you have to sit down and you have to envision yourself winning. And this is literally what he'd tell us to do. He'd say, close your eyes, envision yourself getting your hand raised. And how we'd end every practice is we'd be doing sprints back and forth. And we may have done like 15, 20 sprints. And the last sprint we do, we always start off by walking with our eyes closed to the back in front of the room. That's just like one sprint. It'd be to the back and the front of the room. And it would just be us closing our eyes, and he would just manifest almost for us. He would be like, imagine yourself getting your hand raised. Imagine yourself lasting just one more second than your opponent. It's all mental. And you might have hated him in the moment because you're like, I'm gonna go home, I'm hungry, I want to eat. But him instilling that knowledge into you, you start to think that for yourself. And you start to think that. And then when you get in your match, or you get before your match, you're nervous, you're like shitting bricks, whatever it is, like you're ready to win. You've already won in your head. And the only way for you to win a match is to already win in your head.
Yeah. First step to victory is victory.
100. Amen. Write that down.
Write that down. Yeah. No, I love that. All right. We're coming to the end of our time here.
Okay.
I want to wrap up getting a little technical because you do have some expertise in blockchain and quant
Expertise,
finances.
whatever
Can
you
you
want to call
explain what that is? Because I didn't understand what that is at first.
it. Blockchain?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brief, like give us a quick summary.
Okay. Think of blockchain as like a digital way to do transactions. So let's say I want to give you $5. I could hand you $5 in cash, or I could Venmo you, right? Venmo goes through Bank of America, it goes through this app, there's all these intermediaries, it just goes straight to you. I don't know anything about that transaction, you can't see it. With a blockchain, if I'm gonna give you $5, I have my wallet. It's called like a wallet address that you have through like whatever like software you use. Like typical ones are like MetaMask or like Phantom. And I have crypto in my wallet, whether it's like Bitcoin, Ethereum, or like USDC, which is just a currency that's pegged to the US dollar. So one USD is always gonna be equal to one like dollar. And if I want to give that to you, it's going straight from my wallet straight to your wallet. So there's no intermediaries, none of those, no Bank of America, none of that. And it's considered going on the chain. So when I have a transaction, it goes straight from my wallet and it goes onto a block on the chain. So when I do that transaction, like my wallet address is on the block, my like time that it happened and how much goes onto the chain. And it also shows who received it. So for example, it'll be you. And as soon as it's on the chain, it can never be removed. And it's public. So I can go on a website and I can see exactly when that transaction was made. I can see the wallet that it came from, and I can see the wallet that it go to and the amount it was there. And it can't be hacked because everyone can see it, and it's powered by decentralized nodes. So let's say you wanted to rob a bank, like go to Bank of America, break in, like steal a bunch of cash. Like that problem is erased when it comes to blockchain because it's run on a bunch of nodes that are like the computers that you are on. So it's powered by all these nodes that are just like things that are connected to the internet. So you'd have to break into every single one of those simultaneously. And if there's millions of them, it's just impossible. So that's a really complicated explanation. I
Yeah,
know.
it's like isn't so that made sense to me.
Okay, good.
It's like isn't it like a digital IOU? Like, aren't you passing around IOUs in a sense?
What's IOU?
Like, isn't like Bitcoin because it's not real? Just saying like, oh, I have 70. Like, oh, I'm like passing you this digital thing, but like you don't actually have it. How do I explain this? I just saw something that was like it's like an IOU. It's like it's not a real thing, but it's just like I don't know where I'm going with this. I thought I had something, but I get what you're saying. I lost it.
You're good. What does IOU stand for?
I owe you, like I owe you. No, like I owe you.
Oh,
I owe,
was
like literally, like I owe you.
Oh, yeah. It's I don't know. It's like
It's more like I have it. I'm passing you, and I have it.
it's like if you had a US dollar and there was a technical equivalency for this US dollar put online. So the US dollar doesn't exist. None of that exists. But there's still like a one-to-one backed piece of technology online that you can send to other people. Like it doesn't exist physically, but it exists on the internet in Web3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was reading recently about, because I'm in commercial banking class, about potentially government-backed like USD crypto, which would be insane.
It would be insane.
You think we should do that?
The way people approach crypto is very different than people that are actually in like the crypto world. I think there are definitely a bunch of use cases for blockchain, which is not anything related to crypto at all. It's related, but they're completely different things. I can go off on a tangent on that as well. I think there are use cases for blockchain, but I think a lot of the things we already have, we do so well, and there's no need to like change everything. Um, I think when it comes to blockchain, there are many use cases of it. I think a lot of it is revolving around privacy and security. So for example, like healthcare or like finances. Let's say, I don't know, what's like a massive like healthcare company, like Kaiser Permanente, something like that. Like if they could have all of their medical data on chain for each single person, and literally you'd go and visit like, I don't know, like an office and be like, oh, okay, you're this person. You scan it via your phone. All of a sudden, they have access to their entire on chain data. And it says every visit you've ever had, all the information you've ever had, right there. It's unhackable. It's totally private. They almost like the doctor might not even be able to see the data, they like see the encrypted data because you can encrypt it on chain with them like out actually being able to see it. So this is another thing I can talk about, like decentralized key management, being able to encrypt data and having AI read the encrypted data and give it back to the owner of the data without anybody in the middle actually understanding what it is. So, for example, if you had $20, you could put it on chain and you can encrypt that data. And I would be able to hold that data, and Kaiser would be able to hold that data in its database, but nobody actually knows what it's on there because it's not like their own, if that makes sense. It's yours. So you own that. And you're the only person who can see that data, even though it's in their system. So it's completely private and it's sensitive. Maybe you don't want everyone knowing that you have like this disease or you have this amount of money because it's all completely private. And that's what I think is awesome. And there's also like supply chain. Like if you put a block on a chain, it can't go anywhere. So in theory, you'd never lose any stock ever. You'd always know exactly where it is. And it's just super, super precise. You wouldn't have to order like, Lego sets, they always give you extra pieces in the set in case like you lose them. Like you wouldn't have to do that anymore because you would never lose a piece.
That's really cool.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different use cases for it. I think the topic of government is very subjective because there's things like a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, which basically is voting on chain. So everyone gets a vote. Everyone's vote is equal or it could not be equal depending on how much stake they have in a company or stuff like that. So, for example, let's say me and you had a business. You had 46% stake. I had 54. And someone would be like, I want this proposal. Let's say we buy this company. And so it would go into this DAO and be like, all right, you have 3 days to vote on this. This is the proposal. And then you would vote and it would all go on chain. Everyone could see who voted for who voted when, etc. And it would pass.
It's unhackable.
Unhackable.
That's the security aspect of it I wasn't aware of. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think that's the backbone of blockchain. It's security. It's like decentralization is a key to security, in my opinion. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. It's like when something is all on your computer, it can be hacked so easily. But when all of your data is spread out to all these different nodes that are all connected to the network, like it is in blockchain, it's like not hackable. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Because like, how do you ever come up with this technology? You must have been so brilliant to come up with this. Like, it's something I think about a lot. It's like, dang,
Amazing.
someone's thinking straight. So
Drew, we have a closing tradition on this podcast that comes directly from my favorite show, The Diary of a CEO,
oh
in which the last guest leaves a question for the next guest, not knowing whom they're leaving a question for.
oh wow.
And the question that's been left for you can need a little explaining, which I'll give you after.
Okay.
But it is, if when you died, you got put into a room for eternity with people who died the same way you did, how would you want to die? So basically, I was confused too.
Wow.
Meaning like the analysis behind it too, right? Like let's say you chose to die by a gun, right? Then you would be hanging out with Abraham Lincoln and Tupac for the rest of your life, but also everyone else who's been shot by a gun. Or you could say like, you know, if let's say your mom dies of old age, you could say I want to die of old age so I can hang out with my mom. And they're like, I don't know.
That's how do you come up with that question?
It's an insane question.
Yeah.
I love it.
Wow. Props to whoever was on the podcast before this.
What do you think?
I think gun was the first thing that came to mind, but like criminals are shot all the time, so like I don't want to be with a bunch of criminals. I think the easy answer is old age. Give me a second here. I gotta think hard
You
about
die by
this.
Stingray, hang out with
A bunch of divers.
Steve
Oh,
Irwin.
Steve Irwin. Oh, I guess that's true.
If you want to get really niche, you could die by a submarine exploding.
Plane crash.
Plane crash. Ooh, that'd be a cool one. Just give me anything.
What if I die by like an animal mauling me?
Sure. I mean, that'd be painful, but cool.
I feel like it'd be a lot of interesting conversations.
That's a great answer.
I think the amount of diversity in that room would be crazy.
Well said, Drew. Drew, thank you for coming on the show. This was an amazing episode. We had some really cool conversations. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Love to be here.
Thank you, Drew.